You can grieve the child that you thought you were going to have without betraying the child that you absolutely adore. These were life-giving words given to me by a friend during my early days of our diagnosis of cerebral palsy. And today I want to share 3 things that were shared to me by friends that helped me reframe my grief in the early days of cerebral palsy. If you are new to my channel, my name is Heather Sweetman. I'm a mama of 4, and our youngest has quadriplegic spastic cerebral palsy. I'm here on YouTube to make the videos that I was searching for when we first started going through this. So a friend of mine was praying for me, and she felt like the Holy Spirit put it on her heart to tell me those words, that I could grieve the child I thought I was going to have without betraying the child that without betraying the child that I adore. And I think that it breathed such life into me. There was just such this struggle of feeling guilty about feeling sad about my child because I love her. I'm crazy about her. I adore her. And there is something that just felt so wrong. And our emotions are really complicated. And I don't know if I'll ever fully learn this, but I think what I am learning is to acknowledge the sadness. If I don't acknowledge it, I get angry and stuck and lost. But it's really uncomfortable to acknowledge it. And so the friend who said that to me, I just felt like I could exhale because I was trying to hold it all together and still can definitely get into that moment. I think that's my default. I think that's most people's defaults. It's like, let's just hold it together and ignore the sadness. But we know sadness is important to God because the Psalms tell us that He collects our tears in a bottle. My 13-year-old the other day was fighting tears, and I said to her, just cry. It'll feel so good to cry. And she did. And then afterwards, she said, crying is like throwing up. You don't want to do it, but you feel so much better after. And I so appreciated that wisdom. Like, that is exactly what crying is like. I remember the first time when my friend shared that with me, and then it was like it released something in me. I don't know what it was, but I went back to our bedroom and I cried and I cried and I cried. I don't know how long I cried for, but I cried so hard that I broke blood vessels underneath my eyes. And I remember after I had calmed down a little bit, my husband came in and held me, and he just said, I've been waiting for you to cry like that for a long time. And I want to say this was maybe in year 2 of our diagnosis. So that phrase helped me so much, and it's something I still go back to. The second thing that really helped me is a friend said to me one time, she said, Heather, as long as you are down in the pit, we will be there with you. And that kind of was stimulated out of a conversation of just the fear of struggling with the same thing for year after year after year. And I just want to say that to you, and I want to pray that you have those kind of people in your life. Those people are not going to be very many. It might be one person. It might be your mom or your dad or your spouse or one friend, or a coworker. But there will be people in your life. I think a common fear when you're struggling is with grief is that my friends have heard this over and over and over again. Like, it was okay the first few times we talked about it. Obviously, this kind of like a special needs diagnosis is life-changing forever. And of course, it's understandable to struggle, but now it's been 2 years. Now it's been 3 years. Now it's been 10 years, and I'm still sad about this. And the truth is, with special needs, I would say I I don't know what your situation is, but for me, I was very, 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 very sad. I was in some deep grief for about 6 months. Now, I would say some things that made 6 years, excuse me. I would say I am a slow processor. I am an internal processor. And that just means I really have to take the time to sit with my thoughts. But I don't feel like I'm a very productive thinker. And so, sorry, I got distracted. So I have to be intentional about either talking with someone who understands that I'm processing, like this is, or I have to sit with my journal and Jesus and write. So it might not take you as long. It took me a long time, and I think I got to a place where I was able to, that I was released from some of that, and I got to more of a place of contentment, which was wonderful and beautiful, and that's a whole nother story of its own. And the sad days were fewer, or rather than feeling sad every single day, it was like maybe it was once a month or once a week or something. It was it felt way more manageable. So, but grief is unpredictable. I read once that grief is like the tide. It comes in and it goes, and there's no controlling it. There's absolutely no controlling grief. It just shows up, and it can be brought on by a memory, a holiday, an experience. There's so many, it can just come on us. So I would say my encouragement would be to let yourself feel sad with being aware of, are you getting bitter? Are you getting resentful? Are you getting angry? And I think those are just signs of not processing through things, or maybe not processing, but those can be a signal that you need to spend some time processing. But it doesn't help anybody if we get bitter and angry. And I spent probably 2 years just really, really angry. So I'm preaching to the choir there. And then, wait, guys, I went back on myself. Oh well, hopefully you're sticking with me. Because that had to do with the first one. You can grieve the child you thought you were going to have without betraying the child you do have, the child you do adore. The second one was my friend saying to me, you can, like, as long as you're in the pit, we'll be there with you. Those are really related. But yeah, because we can beat ourselves up with being on repeat, right? And then the third one is we were praying, we were at a church prayer meeting one time, and a friend of ours, I was holding Finley on my lap, and she was leaning back on me. I was supporting her body. I was sitting on the floor. And they were praying for Finley and I, and for God to really just give me strength. And a friend of ours said he just had this image in his mind of, as Finley was leaning on me, that I was leaning on God. Just as Finley was leaning back on me, I was also then leaning back on God. And God just, he had us. And that image has come back to me again and again as I have felt too weak, too tired, too exhausted to go on, whether it's just literally physically picking my daughter up, who weighs 80 pounds now, or whether it's just emotionally I'm so tired, or I'm physically exhausted, like, tired wise, not strength wise. And yes, that is true for me, and that was true for me in that moment and is now, but it's also true for you that God has given you the child that you have, and you were made to be their parent. It was not a mistake. You were made to be their parent. And just as you are supporting your child or your brother or your sister or your uncle or aunt, whoever is in your life with special needs that you are supporting, God created you to do that, and He doesn't leave you alone in that. You can lean, as that person is leaning on you and relying on you, you in turn rely on God, and He does support you. He provides for you. I can say that we have miraculously over and over and over again been provided for in amazing ways. And so, oh gracious. So those are the 3 things. I hope those are an encouragement for you today. Just really quick, I want to go over them again because sometimes we need to hear these multiple times. You are allowed to grieve the child that you thought you were going to have without betraying the child you adore. Talk to your friends. You will have someone who will stick by you. If you don't have that friend, I want to encourage you to pray for that friend. Someone who will not tire of you just texting, hey, can you pray for me? I'm sad again today. And then the third was, as your special needs angel leans on you, you in turn lean on God, and He has you. Even when you don't feel like He does, He has you. That's His promise. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.